Coming up, West Wing smackdown. President Trump threatening to throw down with big bad Biden. Eat your heart out, Vince McMahon. Plus, we all joined Facebook to share. Guess what? Facebook shares too. Selling our information to make money. We'll discuss how to reel that all back in. And later, is a hot dog a sandwich or not? A Supreme Court justice has weighed in, but we're still not convinced, and neither was she for that matter. Like It or Not starts right now. Hey, thanks for joining us. Guy Lambert, Britt McHenry, I'm Bram Weinstein. You guys still on Facebook?
Yeah.
Why?
I'm old. That's what old people do.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's what my niece says all the time.
Well, I'm old too, but I go more Instagram, Twitter.
Willie, you're not sharing as much anymore, though, I bet. No longer.
And I don't feel sorry for those people. We'll get to that in a minute.
We will. First up here, it's a White House throwdown in one corner, coming in at 6'3". And the internet says a svelte 236 pounds. He's the leader of the free world, Donald the Dominator Trump. And the challenger, he put the vice and vice president, the Delaware destroyer, Joe Biden. It's the fight we've all been waiting for, the political equivalent of Pacquiao and Mayweather, and it dates back to the campaign and was reignited earlier this week when Biden said he'd beat the hell out of Trump if they'd been in high school together. Trump fired back on Twitter. He called Biden weak and said he'd go down crying. Like it or not, the West Wing smackdown.
Whew, I'm out of breath just from hearing that. Golly. I love it, quite honestly. I really like it. What does it say, though, that we live in a day and age where there's a better possibility of seeing Biden fight Trump than we can see Mayweather fight Pacquiao again? I mean, what does that have to say?
So would Biden be the one that's dancing all around like Mayweather, just not really delivering a punch?
I think we've got the other
He'd
guys.
be a little bit more fit.
I'm going with all bark, no bite from the others. That's what I've got.
Do not like it. And I usually side, perhaps, with Trump or the Republican side. I do not like it, though, because these are two men. Between the two, they have 9 deferments for asthma, bone spurs. And now you're going to tout how strong and manly you are. I always say this, though. When you see a tweet like that, it's usually distraction. President Trump knows what he's doing. And what happened later on in the day, his lawyer in the Russia probe resigned.
Well, to your point, what I hate is the most normal thing that happened this week was discussing a potential fight between two old men. And that's the most normal thing that occurred throughout the entire week.
Well, Trump is quintessential heel. He is made for wrestling.
The question is, who would actually win? At first, I thought Biden would probably take it, but then you got to think maybe MMA style. Well, you're going to see Trump actually grab somebody in the crotch.
Trump has experience.
That's when you give it up.
Oh.
Who are the hype men, though? Who are the managers?
We just said crotch area and Trump in the same sentence.
Call it a day.
Like I said, most normal thing this week is a fight with Joe Biden. And if you want to see something abnormal, go Google old men fighting. Trust me, it never works out well. There's an old saying here, if you're not a liberal at 25, you have no heart. And if you're not a conservative at 35, you have no brain. But a new study might be flipping the script. The Pew Research poll shows, if you believe polls these days, the more educated you are, the more likely you are to be a Democrat now. 54% of college grads now lean to the left. Only 39% lean right. That's the complete opposite of a quarter century ago when more collegiate graduates voted Republican. So like it or not, summa cum snowflake.
I don't like it.
I'm surprised.
As soon as those college kids have to pay taxes, they're going to come to the right side.
Are they?
Well, listen
not
to
the ones who
Cardi
studied.
B on the internet we were just talking about this going viral because she realized once you make a lot of money, you have to spend, in her case, 40% of it to the government.
We'd love to play that for you. There's too many bleeps.
Yeah. A lot of curse words in that. You know what's interesting about this study is that when you look at it, the reason why it's actually increased for the education with regard to Democrats is because the number of women who are now voting. More women are educated than they were 25 years ago. That's what the study said.
So what about the 61% of white women who voted?
Well, hey, I can't
those
really
were
speak to
without college degrees, but 52% of white women voted for Donald Trump.
Educated people have to study science as well. And when the side is basically denying science, that's hard to rectify with someone who's actually getting a degree.
I have 2 degrees, and I'm a conservative.
Wow.
Still believe climate change?
I'm sure one of you is going to tweet how I'm not intellectual.
Where'd you get it from, Brett?
Where are those 2 degrees from? Right.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see that one as well.
Not from the internet. I can promise you that.
Well, it's happened again. Another act of senseless violence in which lives were lost. Earlier this week, the city of Austin was held hostage during a series of bombings in which 2 people were killed. The culprit, later identified as Mark Condit, a 24-year-old white male who was described by most media outlets as a man who was a smart, kind, and polite computer geek who was perhaps frustrated by life. Whatever happened to calling a spade a spade? In this case, calling Condit a domestic terrorist. After all, Trayvon Martin was an African-American, labeled a thug and a troublemaker, and all he did was get shot and killed while attempting to mind his own business. So is it fair to say that people of color are more likely to be demonized within the media versus someone who's white? Like it or not?
I don't like that line of thinking. I don't know. I didn't see many people defending this guy. But I will say it was interesting. There were photos going around, and I saw a comparison that the photo most predominantly used by cable networks was a photo of him in high school, where he did look more friendly. He did seem more like that lost boy compared to what he did look like as these bombings were going off, which was much different and not as attractive. So maybe there's a little bit of truth to a spin there, but I think if you're setting off bombs in the city of Austin, you're just a horrible person no matter what race you are.
It's characterizations. That's the problem, and they're institutionalized. And to your point, yeah, we have a problem with that. Did we call the guy who shot up Las Vegas a terrorist, even though that's exactly what he is? Building a room and barricading himself with arms to kill a bunch of innocent people? Had he been a Muslim, how do you think that would have been characterized of someone shooting all of those people? We do have a problem with this. It is mischaracterized, and you're right. We should call people out for exactly what they are. If you are making bombs and putting them out there and destroying unsuspecting victims' lives, you're a terrorist. I don't care what color you are.
Bottom line, it seems that we more or less humanize white males or with folks that have actually, this last guy, I can't even call him a gentleman, that killed people using bombs, then look what we did, and look what we called Trayvon Martin, a troublemaker, a thug. That's what we should have called Condit.
I don't think anyone was humanizing him, though. I mean, I have another question,
we heard
too.
about
Not when you label him that way. Not when you
so what about bomb detonations? Anything to make a bomb? Are we going to ban those things just like we ban and blame the guns? You were just saying it's the guy, it's the criminal. I consider him that way, no matter what race he is.
Criminals are colorless. That's I think what we're trying to get to, right?
Yeah.
The same crime committed by the same person, there's no reason to humanize the person for doing that regardless.
Yeah, but I'm just would say I don't think people have been humanizing him.
I disagree. Okay. I think so.
Latest battleground here is the fight between man and machine, but it could be back to the drawing board for Uber's fleet. Coming up next, you still feel safe with those self-driving cars after that deadly pedestrian collision? Like it or not, back after this.
I Uber everywhere from now, ever since 2015.
I like driving.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. It's cathartic for me.
You'll enjoy this. It's like a scene out of the Jetsons, cars that drive themselves. Recently, just that became a reality. Now, Uber hoping to cash in by adding self-driving cars to their repertoire. Unfortunately, they suffered a setback when a self-driving car hit and killed a woman crossing the street in Arizona. Toyota then had it about face, halting its testing of self-driving cars on public roads, citing that more research needs to be conducted before they added the cars to their fleet. So the question remains, are self-driving cars the way to go, or should they go bye-bye?
Considering it just killed somebody, I would say it's not the way to go. Condolences. There's enough to worry about when you're getting an Uber. Are they going to show up on time? How many stars you have to give them? Am I ready? Who's the driver? I think we're a bit too early with the self-driving cars.
I think the problem with self-driving cars is that there are other humans driving the other cars. So the self-driving cars are going to play by a set of rules that the humans never play by. So where's the liability in this? When one of them crashes into you or you crash into it, whose fault is it?
Yeah.
You know, so at some point, in my opinion, the only way this is ever going to be widespread is there's going to have to be separate lanes. That the people who are in self-driving cars are in one place and the humans are in another place, because there's no way that the self-driving car can account for all the stupid things we're going to do in a car.
We can't even agree on toll prices. It's how much? $30 to go on I-66?
Cars invented 1886. The first stop sign wasn't invented until 1916. That means for 30 years, people were driving around in cars without stop signs. You think there were a lot of accidents then? And somebody said, you know what, we're not going to have any cars.
I like the idea of this. You know, like this is the future. I hope it happens. I don't think it's going to happen in my lifetime where it's widespread yet. That's just my opinion. I think we're too far away from that, and you have to adopt it in.
I don't
so
even
how
think
in the
it's gonna
world,
happen in
what, everybody's
your
going to
kid's
stop
lifetime.
driving overnight? Because that's the only way that it's actually safe out there, because all the cars are then on whatever algorithm they're on, and I'm not driving there, or the guy who's late to work isn't driving next to it, or my grandmother isn't out there driving 30 miles an hour in a 60.
Forget stop signs. Whoever created the traffic circle, we need to talk. I hate those in D.C.
Meantime, like it or
agree
not,
with that.
you know, we all joined Facebook to share something. Now we're all fired up to find out that they might be cashing in on all that information. We'll have more on the social network's trust issue. That's next.
I liked Facebook when it came out. I was a freshman in college, and it was just about partying and going to fun bars, not political rants.
It just leaves me. I love it.
Not
Still use it.
anymore. You
Hit
still
them up
do?
on Facebook.
Well, then, listen to this then. Did you really think Facebook would own planet Earth on the backs of your pictures of Sunday Fun Day? Nope. Turns out we're all a bunch of dumb sheep who answer any question anyone asks us about our personalities, which may have helped Trump message his army. More alarming really isn't the political shift that Facebook may have made, but did the company itself sell off your data to people who do things like try to tip political elections or get Britain to say exit the European Union? Like it or not, big fat thumbs down to Facebook.
I just think it's obvious. This has been happening for years. What do you think was behind the publicized digital push millennial votes for President Barack Obama?
right.
He had a supervisor on his campaign admit that in 2012, he was in charge of doing some things that weren't technically illegal, but were sketchy, quote unquote sketchy. What do you think all those farm apps, the quizzes are that ask for you to re-enter your email? They're taking your information, people. This isn't a partisan thing. Both sides are doing it. I mean, right, that's fairly obvious, right?
For once, I'm going to like what you said via
you.
Facebook. Actually, I agree with you. You know,
Yeah.
this is not surprising to me. Why would, first of all, why would you put anything in, on, or around Facebook that's personal to you that
Exactly.
you wouldn't want anyone else to know?
Well, what's the point of it anyway then if you're not going to do that? That's the point of social media, right? To tell people about your life.
To a certain extent, but I'm referring to maybe when you message someone or something of that extent. Why would you put some personal information in there? And then furthermore, think tanks have been around for God knows how long. I mean, they could tell us why we like soft toilet paper for all we know. It's the same thing. I'm not surprised that someone has gone about, what is it, Cambridge Analytica, that came in and retrieved all the information and then used that to further the Trump campaign?
The
Here's the
scary
thing.
part is Facebook going to safeguard any of this data? First of all, can they, number one? And I bet you they can't even answer that question honestly if they wanted to. And secondarily, are they going to try to safeguard your information or sell it off like old lists used to go out to people who are trying to create business or think tanks? It's something that I think we've all fallen into that we haven't realized how dangerous
The
it is.
whining and complaining over this is ridiculous to me. It is an app created for complete oversharing. And now people are upset because guess what? Your information was overshared. And now it's an issue because it was associated with Trump. Again, Hillary Clinton, Obama, all campaigns have been doing this. Companies buy ads and followers on Facebook. That's just a practice going on. So I got to say this to all you listening. Ads, targeted ads didn't make people go into the voting booth in the Rust Belt states. Hillary Clinton, not being a great candidate, was a part of that.
I'm not going to go there. What I will say is this is another issue. And what's the major issue? Mark Zuckerberg taking forever to come forward to even make mention of this.
He didn't
Another
handle it well,
billionaire behaving badly.
Because he couldn't have the right answer for it, and that's why. And that's the real problem here. He
Yeah.
doesn't know how big or widespread it is.
How about his whole worth is what, 66 billion around there?
Not anymore.
He lost 8 billion. I'm crying for him.
We all need some help. Do you believe in miracles? If the answer is no, then explain why 98-year-old Sister Jean Dolores Schmidt, team chaplain of the Cinderella who refuses to acknowledge midnight, Loyola Chicago, is now one step away from college basketball's Final Four. She is the living, breathing, one shining moment, correcting reporters who call her a star to reflect her status as an international sensation. The Ramblers have won all 3 of their games so far in the final seconds, escaping with what can only be described as divine intervention. Every crying kid rooting for Tennessee or Nevada is accompanied by Sister Jean's stoic vision of the future. There are even prop bets about how many times the cameras will show her during the game. So, Sister Jean, like her or not?
I like her. She's so happy. How can you not like that? At first, when I saw photos of her, I thought that scarf was like from Harry Potter. I thought that was the joke. March Madness isn't really my thing.
I absolutely love it. You know, she's just so cute, to put it plain and simple. I even took a picture of her and took it with me when I went to go purchase a Mega Millions lottery ticket. We'll see how that works out. It's going to be really interesting to see how many times the camera actually focuses on her during the upcoming games.
I'd like to see her fight Joe Biden.
Ooh.
I bet you Sister Jean wins.
Some spiciness in her.
Yeah.
I just want to know why can't that be me? Northwestern.
Yeah.
All my teams.
Yeah.
Dolphins. I cover you in the
city,
Super
too.
Bowl. You
Loyola,
lose,
Chicago.
The Panthers, the Falcons.
Chicago, it's
Yeah.
Loyola, not Northwestern.
So just keep me out of Chicago. All right, sorry, D.C. residents, you have me. ESPN, the magazine, is celebrating 20 years, and to mark the occasion, it came out with a list of the top 20 dominant athletes of the past 20 years, and it's bogus. The top 5, Tiger Woods, LeBron James, Peyton Manning, Jimmy Johnson, and Roger Federer. Tom Brady just barely made it at number 20. And Olympic record holder Michael Phelps, well, he made the list of notable exemptions. The man is practically a fish, and he's the most decorated Olympian. Like it or not, already I can tell you I don't like it.
It's terrible.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Tom Brady is the best quarterback of this generation and maybe the best quarterback ever.
Ever.
How does he not top Peyton Manning? That feels like they were
I don't
trying.
know if he's the best ever.
I think that actually feels like ESPN was trying to pander to Peyton Manning to try to get him to sign on to do Monday Night Football. That's what that actually feels like to me.
Ooh, I like that conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
And Serena was what, 8, 13?
Yeah, no mention of her at all.
She might be the most dominant athlete really ever if you consider how much she's just crushed women tennis players in her field. Think about that. But I'm still just shook about Michael Phelps isn't in the top 20. There have been studies that he's pretty much a human fish.
Yeah.
I like horse racing. They skipped American Pharoah.
What about Mia Hamm?
She won the Triple Crown.
Secretariat? Yeah, why aren't those
Secretariat's from the
people
1970s.
horses?
So, unfortunately, Secretariat doesn't apply, but he thanks you for his acknowledgement.
I love you, Secretariat. Watch the movie a
Who
million
knows?
times.
I like Tom Brady. We'll leave it at that.
All right, speaking of sports, a quick update from last week. I had advanced into the most annoying people in sports media bracket, beating Barstool's Dave Portnoy in the second round action. And in the Sweet 16, I went up against Bill Walton. It was head-to-head, and it was the big dance for me, but I have to tell you guys, I lost.
Really?
But there was controversy.
How so?
So someone out there, if you're watching or you're tweeting, hates me enough, apparently, that they voted for me. They were rigging the system.
They pulled
I
a
got
Putin.
double the amount of votes.
So we've got Cambridge Analytica in a
Putin.
sports
And a
annoying Putin in a sports annoying list.
The Spun, the site that is doing it or was conducting this whole thing, had to actually use an outside party for the votes because someone was literally putting the URL in and voting for me.
I can't believe they care enough to
Thousands
have
of
the
times.
accuracy in this. I think they would have liked to just have that thing shake out any way it did.
I'm actually proud of you, though, Brett. To go up against Bill Walton, that's a big one. And then what you only lost by how many votes now?
I think he narrowly beat me.
Oh, wow.
Man, speaking of Secretariat, that's when Bill Walton was relevant. I can't even believe he got that many votes and people know who he is.
I still say Stephen A. wins the whole thing.
We'll see. It's one of the great debates in modern history, so of course it had to go straight to the highest court in the land. Coming up next, how one high court justice ruled, is the hot dog a sandwich? Like it or not, we'll be right back.
Only at baseball games.
Right. Yep.
It's only the time it's acceptable.
Chicken? Nah. Beef? Love those.
Never. In this era of fake news, what if I told you a hot dog wasn't a hot dog? The Supreme Court has now weighed in on this debate in a sit-down with The Late Show's Stephen Colbert.
Well, you tell me what a sandwich is, and then I'll tell you if a hot dog is a sandwich.
A sandwich is 2 pieces of bread with almost any type of filling in between, as long as it's not more bread.
You said 2 pieces of bread. Does that include a roll that's cut open but still not completely?
Because a sub sandwich, a sub is not split, and yet it is a sandwich.
Yes?
So then hot dog is a sandwich?
On your definition, yes, it is.
Well played, Lady Justice.
She didn't answer the question, so I will. A hot dog is not a sandwich because it's a hot dog.
Wrong.
Like it or not.
I like it. I agree. The bread is connected. He's wrong about a sub. It's
No, but
separate.
the bread is connected with the hamburger as well. You slide the hamburger in, the end of the bun is still connected. So what's
What are
the
you talking
difference?
about? What hamburgers are you getting that don't have a split bun? Where are you
It's
getting
split,
that?
but it's connected on the back end. You've never seen that where you open up
No,
the bun and you
I've
slide
never
the
seen
burger
Lamb?
in?
No.
No.
That's how it is.
Where
well,
do
that's
you
the
get
burgers I
hamburgers?
eat. Are we in shock? Seriously? A hot dog is definitely a sandwich.
The people at 5's are like, what are you talking about?
Anytime
Never.
you can slide meat into a piece of two
Ben's
slices
chili
of
bowl.
bread.
Show them some love.
Hey,
the hot
it's a
dog.
sandwich.
This
Just
was
don't
the-
look at what's in a hot dog. Don't ever look
Listen,
at that.
regardless, this is the most important thing we've ever talked about in our lives.
Yeah,
For
and I
Brent
like it.
Guy, I'm Brand. We'll see you next week.
Why